ידיד נפש, אברחמן, משוכבדך, ארץ עונך, ירוץ עבדך, כמו היד, ישתחווה, אל מול הדרך, יערב לו, ידידותך מנופת צוף, וכל טעם אדוני, זיו העולם, נפשי חולת, אהבתך, אנה אל נא, רפנה לה, בהרעות לה, נועם זיווך, אז תתחזק, ותתרפא, והייתה לך שפחת עולם, היגלנה ופרוס חביב עלי, את סוכת שלומך, תאיר ארץ מכבודך, נגילה ונשמחה בך, מהר אהוב, כי במועד וכונני, כימי עולם.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Rabbi Nico is on vacation this weekend, this Shabbat, and it's my honor to be joining you as we go through our Shabbat celebration. We start by lighting candles, bringing warmth and light into our lives. And for the honor of lighting the Shabbat candles this evening, I would like to invite Phyllis Newman to lead the Shabbat candle blessing. Shabbat Shalom. We continue with Lechu Neranina, page 130 if you're following in your own Siddur.
Nari al tzur בתודה בזמירות נריע לו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו. ילאי ילאי ללאי, ילאי ללאי, ילאי ללאי, הילאי ללאי, הילאי ללאי, הילאי ללאי, ילאי ללאי,
Shir Ladonai, sing a new song to God. In God's hands are the depths of the earth, the peaks of the mountains are God's. God is the sea, God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel. Bend the knee before Adonai our Maker, for Adonai is our God, and we are the people God tends, the flocks in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge this day. Shir Ladonai, page 131.
We actually already did that, so we are going to go to page 134 for Zamru Ladonai.
We continue with Psalm 29 on page 136, Mizmor LeDavid.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בני אלים, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, כל אדוני על המים, אל הכבוד הרים, אדוני, אדוני, המים רבים.
in our sanctuary, we can imagine a wedding with a bride and a groom entering the room. It's a little more difficult to imagine that when we're sitting in our own homes. And yet we will welcome Shabbat as if she were a bride this evening. And so we continue with Lecha Dodi, a song that speaks of Shabbat as a bride. We will do verses 1, 2, 5, 6, and 9. And as we begin the 9th verse, we will rise and face the east or our doors as if to welcome Shabbat the bride. Lecha Dodi, page 138.
Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, שמור וזכור, בדיבור אחד השמיענו, אל המיוחד אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד לשם לתפארת ולתהילה. lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונחכי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי אורי שתדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, איי 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 lecha Dodi, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי איי פני שבת פני שבת פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקדמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי, בך יחסו עניי עמי ונבנתה יהרתי לה. איי 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 lecha Dodi, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי איי פני שבת פני שבת פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת פלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה. בואי חלה בואי חלה, איי 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 lecha Dodi, איי 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 לקראת כלה, איי איי פני שבת פני שבת פני שבת נקבלה.
We continue with the last of our psalms welcoming Shabbat, Mizmor Shir, page 140.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינות, צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינובון בסביבה דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא הרעת בו.
We now leave Kabbalat Shabbat, the welcoming of Shabbat, and enter the Mariv evening service with the Baruch Hu on page 146. If you would like to rise and face the east, you may do so. We continue with the Ma'ariv Aravim, welcoming the evening, page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Once we acknowledge the arrival of evening, and we think about the stars in the sky, and how day follows night and night follows day, we turn our thoughts inward to the love that surrounds us. During this past year, even with all that befell us, and the tragedy, and the upset, and the harm, nature still goes on, and we still see evidence of God's love in nature and in the universe. So I invite you to close your eyes and breathe in that love that God provides for each of us, day after day, night after night. We take in the breath, we let it go, just as we let the week come in, and then as Shabbat comes in, we let the week go. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Never remove your love from us, God. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
We continue with the Ve'ahavta, page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Adonai Elohim, amen. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to your God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for a day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Mi Chamocha, our Song of Redemption, page 158.
כיבדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. We continue with Hashkivenu, page 160. We continue with the Amidah B'Tfilah, beginning on page 164. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Adonai sfatai tiftach, Ofi yagi, Ofi yagi,
May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and all who inhabit the earth. And let us say Amen.
Amen.
We add the words of the Mishaberach to our prayers, asking God for healing for those in need. We know so many around the world and in our own lives who are in need of healing, healing of body, healing of spirit, those suffering from addictions, those whose hearts hurt at a time of death, and those who are lost. And so we join in the words of the Mishaberach, page 371, or on the screen, as we join in lifting our voices together as one community, even though we are individuals. We know the power of prayer works, and together we can bring healing to ourselves, to our family, to our friends, and to the world. Mishaberach.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheperach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We wish all of them a refuah shlema, a speedy and complete recovery, so that they may rejoin their quality and quantity of life. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. We face this Shabbat opening a new door, a new chapter in our lives. It is now 2021. At the same time, we are closing another door behind us, that known as 2020. As they say, hindsight is 2020. And on the Jewish calendar, we end the biblical book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, this Shabbat. Are we coming or are we going? This year has certainly felt like that conflict at times, and we have had to redefine our lives in oh so many ways. Last January 1st, we were hopeful for what stood before us. We may have made New Year's resolutions that included bettering our physical or spiritual health. We looked ahead to a year in which a presidential election would occur, a year that would bring to fruition dreams turned into plans and plans implemented to achieve realities. Research, however, shows that most resolutions dissolve within the first few weeks of being made. And with the arrival of COVID-19, many of us let go of those intentions that we had held high earlier in January. Instead, we added a whole new dictionary. Corona became a virus rather than a brand of beer or a city. Masks became a life-saving tool rather than a way to celebrate Purim or Halloween. And rather than adults admonishing their kids to be home at a specific time, it became the kids who made sure their parents were safely tucked in at night. We isolated for Purim, Passover, Shavuot, the High Holy Days, and most recently Hanukkah and New Year's Eve. Mental health has become a greater focus, in addition to the physical health that may have gone by the wayside as we felt defeat and sadness. And yet, we learned new skills as we thirsted for human contact. Zoom no longer simply meant to move fast. It became our technological lifeline to human interaction as we used that internet platform to have face-to-face contact with colleagues, friends, family, for meetings, lunch dates, and holiday celebrations. Through Zoom, we were able to attend services around the world for Shabbat, sampling music and sermons from communities that otherwise we would never have been able to visit. And classes sprang up for us to attend to keep our minds sharp and our sense of curiosity alive. At the same time we were trying to stay afloat spiritually, we spent the high holy days in our homes, observing Rosh Hashanah without the joy of the annual reunion that brings us together in our TBT sanctuary. This year, when the prayer known as Unatane Tokef was chanted, the words especially spoke to me. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed, who shall live and who shall die. In past years this prayer would touch me, but with my temple family around me I could feel the comfort of community. This year I sat in my living room alone. I heard the stories of many who had succumbed to COVID-19 and had died alone. My heart ached for their loneliness and their family's grief. And being alone myself, the pain of solitude was made even more real. We made it through the high holy days, though, and were offered a new start as we rolled back the Torah scrolls and began reading anew our journey from creation to the arrival in the promised land. And here we are this Shabbat, closing the door on the first part of that journey in Genesis, Bereshit. The world has been created. Noah survived the flood. Abraham has emerged as our first patriarch, although sons Ishmael and Isaac have parted ways, with Isaac emerging as the favored son. He has married Rebekah, and they have given us Jacob and brother Esau, who sold his birthright to his younger brother. And Jacob has given us 12 sons and a daughter, including 2 favored children birthed by his beloved Rachel. And from those children emerged the tribes of Israel, and a great musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Timothy Rice. As we read in this week's Torah portion, Vayechi, Joseph hears that his father is about to die and brings his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, or Manasseh and Ephraim if you go in birth order, to visit their grandfather. Jacob thinks of these 2 sons as if they were his own, saying, "Your 2 sons, born before I came to Egypt, shall belong to me, just like Reuben and Simeon, which were Jacob's firstborns." He reaches out to bless them, as many years earlier his father had blessed him. Joseph had his sons kneel before Jacob. Ephraim was on Jacob's left, and Manasseh on Jacob's right. Jacob then stretched out his right hand and placed it on Ephraim's head, though he was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head. Joseph, noticing that Jacob's right hand was on the younger one's head, attempted to correct his father. But Jacob knowingly gave the greater blessing to the younger grandson. As if reliving his past, Jacob knew that the younger would prevail as the greater, as he said, "He too will become a tribe. He too will be the greater, but his younger brother will be greater than he, and his seed will complete the nations." And he blessed them on that day, saying, "May God make you as Ephraim and Manasseh. Yisimcha Elohim ke Ephraim v'chi Manasseh." Those words may sound familiar because this blessing, first given by Jacob to his grandsons, has become a traditional part of our Shabbat liturgy, with parents blessing their sons to be like Ephraim and Manasseh, and daughters to be like the matriarchs, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. The ritual became part of what I did at my own Shabbat table when I had children, and my daughter does it with her children now. Why Ephraim and Manasseh? We are told that they are the model of siblings who did not quarrel in the Torah. And therefore, we bless our children, praying that they should be that type of mensch as Ephraim and Manasseh were to each other. As we seek to find blessings to give each other in the face of the year that has just passed, what can we hold up as the silver lining that we look to nurturing in the future? With the pain, destruction, and tragedy that may have defined 2020, it has been refreshing to hear about those who took the time to notice the rainbows, like the ones that appeared in the Southern California skies this past Monday during the storm, or the vaccines that have been administered to our frontline workers, some of whom are members of our own congregation. TBT was honored to receive 2 grants this past year, with which we can aid those facing challenges from COVID-19. And yes, some of us even found ways to pursue our personal hopes and dreams, to lose weight, increase exercise, and find satisfaction within the walls of our own homes. I'd like to end by sharing words from Rabbi Brian Denker, member of the International Federation of Rabbis and New York's Chaplain Task Force. He says, "While at this time of year it is customary to wish one another a happy new year, such a greeting, such words feel hollow this time around, as they fail to encapsulate all that we are feeling, all that we are hoping for, and all that we are praying for in the year that is before us, after all that we have experienced, all that we have witnessed, and all we have endured. Rather, I can think of no better words and blessings to ask for than to reiterate the words which are customary to speak upon concluding our reading of each of the 5 books of Moses, words customarily repeated by all who are present upon concluding the reading of this week's portion, Vayechi. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Be strong, and together we will be strengthened. As we move from a year of great loss, of great sadness, of great struggle, of great sacrifice, a time that will be recorded in history where each and every one of us was called upon to play a part for the greater good of all, it is within each of us and up to us to perform the mitzvah of pikuach nefesh, to preserve and save lives. Let us be reminded and speak these same words, encouraging and uplifting one another to continue to be strong, that together we will all be strengthened and afforded a return to a world and to a life we all love and cherish. And so, rather than wishing you a happy new year, allow me to wish you all a year of strength, a year of health, a year of return, where we may all be together in person once again. Thus, let us go forth and let it be done in 2021. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. We continue our service on page 586 with Aleinu. Please rise if you are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגון עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו גורים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We now turn our thoughts to those whose days on this earth have ended, those we take into our own hearts, those around the world who have no one to say Kaddish for them. Although it is customary not to say Kaddish for those whose funerals have not taken place, we want to think especially of two members and extended members of our congregation who passed away this morning, actually. Barry Kanziger, husband of Judy Kanziger and father of Bradley and Stuart, and Sheldon Ellman, father of Evelyn Bell. In addition, we especially think of Marvin Schwartz, Marvin Ellman, Marvin Schwartz, the husband of Susan Schwartz, and the Honorable Jack Mandel, both of whose funerals took place this past Wednesday. If there are others whose names you would like to enter into the chat box for whom you are saying Kaddish, whether it is the Shiva, Shloshim, first year of mourning, or Yortzeit, you may do so. The Kaddish can be found on page 598. And if you are saying Kaddish, you may join me and rise. We say together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'amei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudisha brichu le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rabbah min shemaya B'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, and we say amen. As we come close to the end of our service, we turn to the Kiddush on page 122, and I would like to honor Howard and Lisa Brass on the occasion of their recent anniversary, right?
Yep, number 40.
Number 40, the big 40. I think I was there.
Yeah, you were there. You were there. Yes, you were. Okay.
So you may lead us in the Kiddush.
All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. Shabbat shacho b'ahava rotzon hinkelanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit. Yom tehilah limikra kodesh. Zecher l'tziat mitzrayim. Ivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta Mikol Ha'amim, B'Shabbat Kodecha, V'Ahava Uratzon, Inkaltanu, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Amen. L'chaim. Announcements tonight. Watch your tidbits for upcoming events. There are wonderful opportunities coming up in January, and Passover is less than 100 days away, so start cleaning. Don't freak out, Gabby, it's okay. And the Onyx Shabbat this evening is a potluck, so you can go to your kitchen and find something to consider as a sweet treat. O source of creative inspiration, guide us and our thoughts. Help us to see all that we may be, to be our authentic selves on this journey of self-exploration. May our upcoming year be better than the last. May our year ahead be grounded in peace, rooted in hope, and guided by love. Shabbat Shalom.
שכנתי בתוכם ואנחנו נברך מעתה ועד עולם. Oh God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. You can unmute if you would like.